Hi, and welcome to Arthritis ACT's seated yoga session. My name is Holly Hayswood. I'm one of the exercise physiologists here at Arthritis ACT, and I'm going to be your new guide, taking you through your yoga practice in the weeks and months ahead. Just a little bit about me if you haven't met me before through Arthritis ACT. As I said, I'm one of the exercise physiologists here. I've been working with Arthritis ACT for the past 3 years. And I've also been introducing yoga into my own personal health routine. So I use it for not just the physical benefits, but also for my own mindfulness, mental health, because obviously that's one of the things that we very much preach here at Arthritis ACT and understand the very intimate connection between physical health and mental health and how they can both work together. So that's sort of one of the things that we'll be exploring through the yoga practice with us today. So while I have been competing in a bit of yoga myself, teaching it is a very new thing for me. So I'm very excited to go down this journey on this path with you. But obviously it's going to be a bit of a refining process. So if you can kind of please give me a little bit of space, hopefully I can kind of just continue some of the practice that you have been doing, just working on that mindfulness, working on that breath, combining that with some physical movement as well. So again, this is an exciting journey for me as well as for me as an allied health professional. So as I said, hopefully over the next few weeks and months, as you hopefully continue to work with me, you'll sort of hopefully see I become a bit more confident in myself. But yes, please, we'll work together through things. So we'll start today's session just coming to your seat, sitting nice and comfortably. Again, ideally a chair without any arms, just because most of what we will be doing today is seated, and just anything that doesn't restrict you will be beneficial. So we can start in our first pose, just with our hands on top of our legs, just resting comfortably. Starting with just drawing our eyes down. So whether that feels better for you to have them closed, or just a soft gaze in front of you, not looking at anything in particular, but just a soft gaze. So feeling from the bottom of our feet, just moving our toes, trying to ground them down as we sort of slowly work our way up our body. Grounding down through our feet, feeling the earth pushing back up against a big toe, the 3 points of our feet. So just feeling the different edges of our feet back through to the heel, just grounding down, imagining as if you're a tree and we are rooting ourselves into the ground just to start our practice. So we'll slowly move up our body and just get in touch with that awareness before we start our physical practice today. Just feeling up into our calves, our muscles at the back of our shins. Whether you want to just think about that part of your body or whether you want to try and activate the muscles, just giving them a gentle squeeze one side to the other. Just check in with how that feels. Moving up our legs past our knees onto our quadricep muscles or our thigh muscles. So where your hands roughly should be. So just gently tracing your hands backwards and forwards, just the fingertips along your clothes. So feeling that sensation through not only your legs, but feeling it through your fingertips. Gently going backwards and forwards 2 more times. And then coming back to center. Moving further up our body into our diaphragm. So now we'll just focus on just thinking about our breath, if we haven't already before so far in today's practice. Just starting by just hearing the sound of your breath. Whether that's going in through your nose or in through your mouth. You can cycle through, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth if that feels more comfortable. Not worrying too much about the pace or the depth of breath that we have at this stage, just feeling our chest rise as we breathe in and falling as we breathe out. Take time to focus on our breath now. So coming in for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale out 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. In for another breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold that at the top. Release that breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more for our counted breath. So breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold at the top. Breathe out 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. We'll go for 5 more breaths. Whether that can continue at that 5 count. You can make it longer or shorter as you feel comfortable, as long as you're going for 5 of those breaths. You may also find it beneficial as you breathe out to relax the jaw and have that lion's breath. So for example, breathing in and then breathing out. Pushing it out, relaxing that jaw. You may just breathe out normally as well. Whatever feels most comfortable for you today. When you come to the end of that 5 count, just laying your hands on your thighs, hands facing up. Hopefully you're feeling a bit more connected to yourself at this stage. So we'll start with Tadasana, which is normally our standing pose or our mountain pose. Obviously that might change as we go through these sessions, but most of what we do today will be from seated. So we'll count that as our starting pose. So I just want you to sit up as tall as you can and try and stack your shoulders, ribs, and your pelvis on top. So whether you need to move your pelvis backwards and forwards slightly, just to feel that stacking. So it feels like everything is in alignment. So if you feel like your shoulders need to come back as well, hopefully just sitting up nice and tall. So just rocking and rolling that pelvis slightly. Perfect, good. Just go for 2 more. and coming back to that neutral spine. So it's something you'll hear me talk about quite a lot. Obviously, I'll keep guiding you through what neutral spine means. Neutral spine normally is referring to our lower back. So where we don't feel like our lower back is too arched or too rounded. So in that neutral spine. So that point where it feels a bit more comfortable for you. And that will feel individual for each of you. So just feeling that lower back where it's as comfortable as it can be. Next, we'll work on our just engaging our shoulders and our shoulder blades. So trying to draw your shoulders up towards your ears, drawing your shoulders back behind you and pushing the shoulder blades down. Bring it through to neutral or the front. So shoulders again up to your ears, pushing behind you, squeezing those shoulder blades together, pushing those shoulder blades down. Good. So we'll try to incorporate our breath into our next movement of our shoulders. So breathing in, hold, and out. So focusing as we come up with our shoulders, breathing in. When we come down with our shoulders, breathing out. So going for your own count and your own movement for 3. Good. Coming back to center. So staying in our upper body, just thinking about our neck as well this morning. So just thinking about just some gentle movements with our neck to start with. Just looking over our left shoulder, going there only as far as you feel comfortable. Once you get to that point, breathe in and breathe out. Back to the center, nice and gently. Looking over your right shoulder. When you get to that end point for your range of motion, breathing in and breathing out. Good. Back to the center. We'll repeat that one more time each side. Back to the left. Breathing in and breathing out. Back to neutral. Looking over last time on our right side. Breathing in and breathing out. Back to the center. Last neck stretch and movement for as part of our warm-up. With our arms down by the sides of our chair. Bringing your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Feeling that stretch on the right side of your neck. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. Gently back to the center. Cross to the opposite side. Right ear towards our right shoulder. And get to that end range. Breathing in and breathing out. Back to the center, nice and gently. Last part of our neck exercise, just a neck lengthening. So try to think about that long spine. A cue I sometimes give, and it just works what works best for you, like a piece of string is pulling up the top of your head as you pull your shoulders down. So just coming straight up, feeling that lengthening through your neck. We're going to get to that top range, breathing in and breathing out. And relax back to neutral. One last neck lengthening exercise that we will continue to practice is a bit of a different motion. So I like to kind of say to people, imagine that you're a puppy being picked up by the scruff of the neck. So what that will probably feel like is a lengthening, but with trying to stretch through the back of the neck. So lengthening, but also with a bit of a head tilt. So hopefully feeling the muscles on the back of our neck stretching. Breathe in and breathe out. Good. Okay. Giving our upper body a rest. Coming back to our grounded feet. Again, feeling all points of the floor through your shoes. Maybe you are barefoot or just wearing socks. We're just going to work through some calf raises. So just bring that heel up off the ground ever so slightly. Just going for 10 of these. That's 3. So try and time your movement and your breath. So breathing in and breathing out. Two more. Last one back to neutral. With any extended period of breath work along with movement, if you find your mind is wandering, that is fine. Just acknowledge whatever thoughts are in your mind, but try and move them on gently. Come back to that breath. If you need to focus more just on the sensation of the air filling your lungs, maybe the change in temperature of that air entering your body, maybe even just the feeling of your chest or your sternum rising and falling, just come back to whatever centers you. So the next, working through back into upper body. So just with our hands in front, just working through our wrists. So just some gentle circles of our wrists. If you prefer to have your hands closer to your body or lower, that is perfectly fine. Again, as always, trying to time our breath with our movement. The opposite direction. Good. Coming back to the top with our wrists and back down gently on top of our legs. Bit more of activation now. We're just going to go for a seated cat-cow. So feeling like we're rounding out through our back, so maybe pushing the lower part of your back into the back part of your chair, into cow, very gently lifting trying to keep your neck in a neutral position as you lift up, lifting that breastbone up towards the ceiling, gently arching through our back for cat. Rounding through our lower back only as much as you feel comfortable for cow, gently coming up for cat. Good. We'll do 5 more cycles of this in your own time with your own breath. Again, it's not a rushed movement. It's maybe not a big movement for you. That's fine. Just feeling that lower back, maybe your upper back and shoulders rounding out, particularly for cow. Good. Last one. Still focusing on that breath with each movement, each segment moving of our body as well. Good. Coming back to neutral. The next movement, you might want to move a bit more forward onto the front edge of your chair. With both knees together, you can hold onto each side of the chair. We're just going to move our knees from one side to the other. So just hopefully feeling a bit of gentle movement and stretch through our hips, maybe our lower back as well. So you might twist through your lower body, or you can just stay nice and straight on. Again, focusing on our breath. Go for 2 more. Good. Back to center, centering ourselves. Moving back comfortably onto our chair. Hands back to our thighs. So this will be interesting as part of our next exercise. Something I'm going to be focusing on as we go forward through these sessions is just checking in with yourself and how you feel, but also hopefully thinking about our alignment or our proper activation of our muscles. Something I do see a lot in my work as an exercise physiologist, that people aren't sure they're activating the correct muscles. So a really good example, hands just on the tops of our legs, on our quad muscles. So all we're going to do, again with our breath, straighten our leg out to the front and back down. So we'll probably try and keep it as a count for 3. Opposite leg, 1, breathing in for 3, breathing out for 3. Good, come back all the way back to the start. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Breathing out for 1, 2, 3. Opposite side, breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Breathing out for 3, 2, 1. 2 more on each side. Back to that first side, breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Breathing out for 3, 2, 1. Take that own count as needed. Shorten or lengthen it as much as you feel comfortable. And coming back to center. So hopefully you felt with your hands on top of your legs, feeling those quadricep muscles working. So just an example of how we can check in with ourselves as we work through our physical practice. The next one, again, you might want to move a bit more forward onto your chair into our seated butterfly. So if you can keep your feet together, moving into this position, you might feel a stretch through our adductor muscles or our groin muscles. If that's enough for you at this stage, that is perfectly fine. Take a count of 3 breaths for 3. So 1, 2, 3. And out for 3, 2, 1. In for 1, 2, 3. out for 3, 2, 1. Last one. In, 2, 3, out, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. So you can stay in this position if there is enough stretch for you and that is a good range of motion for you today. Or try with your right hand, placing on the inside of your right knee, pushing that down, adding a bit of a thoracic twist. So putting your left hand on the outside of your left thigh, turning towards the left. Again, focusing on your breath in this position. One more cycle of breath. Gently back to the center. Opposite side. Left hand on the inside of our left leg. Pushing down if you need more stretch. Right hand to the outside of our right leg. Adding that twist. We'll go for 3 cycles of breath. Last breath. Back to the center. Feet closing our knees together. Back a bit more comfortably on our chair if you feel like that is comfortable. Just bringing our hands up and overhead if that's possible. Bring them down in front. Just working our shoulders into our prayer stretch. So just holding this for 1 cycle of breath. Releasing that gently. Arms back up overhead. Hands together. Coming down through our heart space into that prayer stretch one more time. Gently relaxing that one. One more time overhead. Just coming back down into our heart center. Stopping there. So just bringing our hands to the right of our heart space and turning and looking across to our left. We'll hold this for 3 cycles of your breath. Last cycle of breath. Back to the center with our hands into that heart space, neutral neck, opposite sides. Hands going to the left of our chest, looking over our right shoulder. 3 cycles of breath. Last cycle. Back to the center. Next we'll move on to our seated tree pose. So again, coming forward onto the edge of your chair, extending one leg forward. And just simply with the opposite leg, just starting, you can hold onto the side of the chair for balance if you need to. Just lifting that knee up and down. So we'll just go for a cycle of probably only breathe in and out for a count of 2. Breathing out. So breathing in to lift the knee up. Breathing out to push the knee back towards the ground. We'll go for 3 more cycles of that count. Last one, breathing out. Next, if you feel comfortable, bring that knee back towards you. Try and wrap your hands around your knee. And just feeling as much as you feel comfortable pulling that knee gently towards your chest. Hold that for a count of 3. Or breath cycle of 3. Bring it back to the ground. Opposite side. With any of my breath counts, if you need to alter it yourself, if we're holding it, say, for a count of 3, and you need to release it before then, please do at any point. These are just standard counts that are a suggestion. They're not a hard rule. So please listen to what your body's telling you on the day of any practice. Shorten the counts as needed if you need to relax back into a neutral position. So on the opposite side of our seated tree pose, right leg in front, holding onto the chair if you need to for balance, by just lifting that knee in and back down. Good. Coming up. Remember that count of 2, following hip flexion movement, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and out. Last one, in and out. Good. Just also a bit of a tip, you might have just noticed my hand movements at different points throughout the session. This is not expected. Hopefully just more of a visual representation of what my breath is doing so that you can get a guide on that as well. So it's not a requisite. Hopefully I'm just talking you through what movements. Obviously just with our seated tree pose, it was just that knee raise. It was all I was expecting of you. You might see me do that in the upcoming sessions, as I said, with the incorporated hand movements, just to make sure that you can see me breathing, as much as that is a difficult thing to do. So a slight advanced progression from our seated tree pose for those who want to try. So again, back onto our first side. Couple of warm-ups with that knee lifting up, pushing forward. Good. Next, more of a traditional tree pose for those who feel comfortable with their hips. Sternly rotating the hip and just placing it on the inside of your leg. We'll hold that for a count of 1, 2, 3. Breathe out, 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring it back to center, back to neutral. We'll complete that 2 more times. So lift that knee up, externally rotate, place the inside of your foot on your leg, hold for 1, 2, 3, out for 3, 2, 1. Good. Back to the center. Last one on this first side. Lifting the knee up, sole of the foot onto that other leg. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Good. Come back to rest. Just check in with how your legs are feeling, how your hips are feeling. Again, run your hands over any parts of your body that are starting to feel it, which is okay. Again, you're more than welcome to keep at whatever level of movement we are trying today. Or if you need to have a rest at any point and just pick up with my count or with my instructions at any point. So please don't feel like you need to rush. Take things at your own time. Second side of our tree pose progression. So right leg in front, lifting that left knee up towards your chest a couple of times as a primer. And then again, if you feel comfortable lifting that knee up, Rotating that hip, placing the foot on the inside of your leg. Hold for 1, 2, 3. And now for 3, 2, 1. Good. Back to the center. Lifting that knee up one more time. Rotate if you want to. Hold for 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Good. Come back to center. Good. Sitting more comfortably on your chair. So giving our legs a rest, coming back to our upper body. So just some gentle shoulder flossing. So with your arms straight in front, your hands could be a bit lower if needed, if you have any shoulder issues. But otherwise, try and keep them up nice and straight. So what we're going to try and do is pull your arms and your shoulders, try and squeeze those shoulder blades together, and then push forward. So the arms are the only thing that's moving. So from side on, and pushing, rounding out through the shoulders. Hopefully that is being demonstrated. So we'll go for a count of 3 with a breath cycle of 3. 1, 2, 3. Pushing forward, 3, 2, 1. Last 2. Coming back, 2, 3. Pushing forward, 3, 2, 1. Good. Last one. Coming back, 3, 2, 1. Pushing forward, 1, 2, 3. Good. Just bring your hands back down to rest. Roll your shoulders if you need to. With that increase in workload through our shoulders, it's important to check in with how we're feeling. So while we're in this thinking about our upper back and shoulders, might just do a gentle stretch as well. So bring your hands together, interlacing your fingers in front. I want you to feel like you're trying to gently pull those fingers apart. So keep them together, but try and pull apart. Bow our head forward. Try and pull those fingers apart. So it almost feels like you should be rounding out through your shoulders. So hopefully feeling a stretch to the back of your shoulders through maybe those rhomboid muscles. So we'll just gently floss with our neck. So coming down for 1, 2. Back up for 1 and 2. Repeat this 2 more times. 2. 2. Good. Back to 1 more. Good. Relaxing your arms down. The next one, just our forward fold. So again, you can have your on the edge of the chair if you need to, feet a little bit wider, and just gently tracing your hands down your legs, bending forward from the waist. Just coming to wherever feels reasonably comfortable. So if you do have some lower back issues, and this is an aggravator, just go to wherever feels comfortable, even if it's only a short movement. So we'll again come forward gently, focusing on that breath. Get to your bottom range, hold. 1, 2, 3, slowly back up, very slowly. Just feel like each vertebrae is stacking on top of each other as we realign ourselves. Back down to our end range for second of our 3. Coming down to wherever feels like you can get to that point. Hold. 2, 3. Breathing as well, in and out both times. Last one. If you feel comfortable, last time. And tracing your hands down our legs to where we feel we get our end range. Stopping at that point, hold 2, 3, gently coming back up to the middle. Just checking in with yourself. Again, just center ourselves for a moment. We're noticing any particular parts of our body that are working a bit harder. Just focus our attention on those for a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes, I should say, just a few seconds. See how we're feeling. There's no right or wrong way to do our practice. The fact we are doing it together is the most important thing. Good. Just focusing on those areas of our body. Almost a bit of a mental active recovery. So listen to what those body parts are telling you. You can soften your eyes if you need to. Coming back into our conscious selves. Setting up for our next pose. Again, with our hands on top of our legs, just a seated thread the needle. So keeping our left hand on our leg, our right hand is going to gently come up overhead, feeding it through underneath our arm. So you can rest your right arm on top of your left leg if you want to, or you can float it for a bit of an extra challenge. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Coming back, unfurling that arm back up. You can follow with your gaze if you want to. Feeding it back through. Resting that arm if you need to. Again, focusing on that breath. 3, 2, 1. Good. Again, unfurling. Last, threading the needle on this side. So coming through. Floating the arm or resting it as needed. Coming back up. Unraveling our spine. Back to our neutral starting position. Opposite side. So right hand stays on our right leg. Left arm up. Threading that needle through underneath our arm. Hold 3, 2, 1. Unraveling as well. Coming through for the second of our threading the needle. Holding for 3, 2, 1. Coming back. Last time. Nice and gentle. Feeling every little movement as we go through with that arm. 2, 3. Back up. Unfurling, coming back to center. Good. Excellent work, everyone. Just check in with how we feel through our back with our thread the needle, which we will continue to work on. Please feel only if you're comfortable how far you feed that needle through, depending on how you feel. So even if it's a small movement, much like any of the other movements and patterns that we do have in our practice, you'll hopefully get to understand your body a little bit better and what feels good. Please don't feel like you need to push yourself to that end position. So last position for today, we will come just back to our upper body, thinking about just what I like to call cactus arms. So bring your arms out to the side, or it's like stop, I give up, our surrender arms. So what you're going to do is try and, in this position, try to squeeze your shoulder blades together. and back to neutral. Again, cactus arms, squeezing those shoulder blades together, focusing on that breath, back to neutral. Last one. Coming back, squeezing, and back to center. Relaxing those arms down. So we'll come to Shavasana, which is our final resting pose. For us, most of the time in this class, we will be in our seated. Quite often it can be a lying on the ground or in supine or sort of corpse pose. But for most of our lessons, because most of it will be seated, sometimes there might be some standing with the chair. But for today, just back to our resting position. So again, your hands can rest comfortably in your lap, on top of your legs, any position you feel comfortable. Softening your eyes down, closing them if that feels more comfortable. Just focusing on our breath. Again, just taking stock of any parts of your body that you feel like were specifically targeted in today's practice. Hopefully we are feeling a bit of a release of pressure, stress, anxiety with today's practice, today's breath work. And keeping that breath count as long or as short as you feel comfortable. So as we are focusing not just on our body, but also our mind, I want you to think of one thing that you are thankful for today. That could be something profound. It could be something quite small, but personal to you. Just giving thanks for that thing, that person, that belonging. Let's sense the feeling, anything that is important for you today, as we continue to focus on that breath. Feeling after nearly an hour of practice together, feeling those deep breaths, replenishing those working muscles with oxygen, with nutrients, as our body does its best to look after us. So we'll bring our hands to heart center to finish off today. A deep breath in for all of those who have shared this practice with each other, either in person or online. Breathe in and out. Deep breath in for someone that you care about or love in your life, sending that love to them now. Breathing in and out. And the final breath to yourselves, for your ability to be able to do today's practice, and your ability to complete it in whatever fashion you could. So breathe in for yourself and out. Hands back to our thighs. Thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. I hope you enjoyed it. This will be the first of many going forward from myself. So thank you very much for joining me as we continue to work on our practice together and hopefully grow not just physically but also mentally as well. So thank you so much for your time today. Namaste.